Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for those coming back. I didn't think it was time for the bar opening yet, but obviously some have found it, so I appreciate your time. I'm John Marshall. I'm the head of Benchmark Animal Health, one of 3 business areas, together with genetics and nutrition under the Benchmark umbrella. I'm here to talk to you today, and I'm very pleased to talk to you about managing the economics of sea lice and how we think we've got some opportunities to improve this. I'm going to take us through the issue to start with. We're going to look at the costs as we see them now, and then we're going to talk about solutions and opportunities that we have for the future. So, sea lice is damaging brand salmon and constraining the growth of certainly open net pen farming. The rise in tangible costs have been felt by everybody in the industry. And this has been brought on by increasing resistance to medicines and the lack of new medicines forcing the industry to go to look for other solutions. These alternatives, at the face of it, have come with some perceived PR benefits. We've heard we don't use medicines anymore. We use biological and natural solutions for controlling sea lice, both of which, at the face of it, are good. But are they really? Rising mortality and loss of growth through poor feed conversion, they're not direct losses because of the sea lice, but they are direct losses that come from the increased effects of repeat and continued treatment, trying to control sea lice below and keep sea lice below permitted levels. These are definitely tangible costs in our industry. And they lead to intangible costs of potentially even more significance. Certainly, the greater sustainability of brand salmon could be affected by these. Using medicines, or the lower use of medicines now, certainly benefited PR-wise. We're using less medicines in the industry now. But the increased focus on welfare and the increased number of welfare incidents is causing this to take over from our previous PR concerns about medicines being used in the environment. And is certainly more threatening to brand salmon as we know it now. If we look now at the costs, and we'll look to start with the trends in what's been happening around sea lice control. So we see, to start with, over the last 6 years or so, we've seen a massive increase, a very steep increase in the use of treatments to try and keep sea lice under control. At the same time, we've seen a 14 times increase in the use of mechanical treatments. And for last year alone, the Norwegian Veterinary Institute reported a 16% increase in welfare incidences related to farming. And at the same time, a 15.5% annual mortality in the sea phase of salmon farming. That's 154 million dead fish in the sea. Now, of course, this is not all caused by sea lice. But for sure, if we can reduce this, then we'll reduce this, and we'll reduce this. So what does this mean for economics? Well, just looking at the tangible costs, so we're not talking about environmental and social, we're not talking about fish welfare here, but we're talking about the tangible costs of sea lice on our industry. The latest figures from NOFEMA indicate that we're looking at 6.6 billion NOK a year. A staggering figure. And from there, we'll go on to look in more detail about the costs, the true costs of sea lice per kilo produced. As we said, there's been a change in trend with the rising resistance to chemical treatments, and as this has forced the mechanical systems to be used, and we see an increasing trend. We've discussed some of those now, but we'll come back onto it in a moment. We've also seen an increasing trend to move away, try and get away from the sea lice, and try and prevent the sea lice. So the bigger smolts, producing bigger smolts so that we have less time in the sea, less need for treatments, hopefully, has improved significantly in the cost that we've brought into sea lice. At the same time as things like submerged cages, lice nets have all contributed to these costs for trying to get away from the sea lice. And the preventative costs have come to a peak now of 3.8 billion. Now, I must advise a note as well that cleaner fish costs are also included in that figure there. So if we look at what's happening in 2021, so it seems like it bucks the trend slightly. The difference what we've seen here is in an attempt to try and escape some of the continual mechanical treatments. The producers have gone back to using some medicines, some cheaper medicines, so we see some reduction in costs. But the mechanical operations, the actual carrying out the treatments, the loss of feeding days because of the stress of these systems, and also the mortality directly from treatments as continuing to be a significant burden on the industry and a significant part of these costs, and I believe so going forward, because it's not solving the issue. At Benchmark, we believe in an integrated approach to sea lice management. We recognise that site, location, weather, temperature, biology, fish size, fish health, etc. all play a part in selecting from the toolbox about which tool is going to be most appropriate for the treatment. There's a place in the future for all these tools as well. But we need something to make a step change in how we're managing sea lice. I'm pleased to say that Benchmark has introduced a new solution. This comes in the form of Ectosan Vet and Clean Treat. It's highly effective. It has an excellent environmental profile, no impact on the environment, and it has good fish welfare. So adding such an effective, highly effective tool to our toolbox to control sea lice, we believe will decrease the number of treatments and the frequency of treatments. It will increase the number of feeding days, it will lower mortality, and it will cause less damage and stress to the fish, which in turn means less welfare incidents. So, we have something to be more optimistic when we're looking at the future. And I'll finish with a few slides now to describe how we think this might look. So, increasing the sustainability, enhanced by a coordinated approach, which we'll come on to, will improve the bottom line. New products are certainly a key as we go forward, but it's vital that we take a step up regarding environmental sustainability. Clean Treat meets this need perfectly. It stops medicines going into the environment. It purifies the treatment water before they go into the environment. It removes all the sea lice before they can get back into the environment. And it sets a new standard now for medicine use in aquaculture. It sets a new sustainability standard. And it acts as a new platform for other new medicines to come along, to be introduced into our industry. And it gets better if we work together. A coordinated and strategic approach will produce a faster and longer acting effect for sure. Selecting a management area and planning a coordinated treatment with a highly effective tool can give a longer period between treatments and less treatments in a cycle, therefore less need for firefighting. So, we have a new tool. This should be possible. So, Ectosan's not going to take over from all other treatments, but it's going to make a significant difference in the industry. Adding a highly effective tool, especially used in a coordinated management way in a region, will reduce the challenge of sea lice in a farming area so that it needs less treatments during the cycle. This in turn results in increased harvest, increased biomass harvest, larger fish or shorter production cycle, higher superior grade fish, and very importantly, more predictability around production. And this all comes with ASC approval, improving the welfare and environmental sustainability of brand salmon, restoring pride to our farmers in what they produce in, and overall improving the bottom line. Benchmark are proud to be helping to make a difference. I'd like to give special thanks to Auden Iverson at NoFEMA for the data supplied. I'd like to thank you all for listening today. Tusen tack.